If you can't hire quickly, you miss out on talent. One agency has been suffering from losing qualified candidates because the hiring decisions, they take too long. This agency is the Department of Homeland Security, which is the fourth largest federal agency with over 200,000 government employees. They failed to hire 69% of priority positions in time. This is for positions like Border Patrol agents, some FEMA positions, and air interdiction agents. Another problem is DHS is not tracking and reporting the time to hire consistently. Why is this? Well, DHS is like an umbrella, and you have over a dozen sub-agencies underneath that umbrella. This is like Border Patrol, this is like FEMA. Now, some of these sub-agencies, they're not putting out job announcements with close dates. They put out job announcements so people can apply. Let's use a public notice, a roster position, so that they can hire all year long. They're open to take applications. But in reality, they're only onboarding twice a year. So that might be in the summer and then another one in the fall. So it's difficult to track that. It's difficult to report that because you're just hoarding resumes. Another problem with the hiring process is the security clearances. You'll have an eligible candidate that was in the military with a top secret clearance. He comes over to DHS, they want to reinvestigate. Or maybe you're coming from DOD, they want to reinvestigate. Why are we reinvestigating so much? That wastes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of resources. If you weren't aware, OPM put out a 14-step federal model, and that's what you're looking at right now. Most people, they get stuck right around step 8 to step 9. That's roughly the time that half of the candidates are given the ineligible or not referred email. But the vetting for the job, that doesn't happen until step 12. That's where the background check is happening, the fingerprints, the photo, credit check. In some cases, you'll have a medical exam or a drug test. And that's the area DHS is having problems. Because it's not just federal employees that have to go through this. Also, contractors that support the DHS, a lot of times, they have to go through the same procedure as well, especially if they need access into a DHS office. This graph right here shows you the difference between pre-employment checks and the whole background check. The pre-employment checks is a quick check to make sure you can start working. If your job requires a secret clearance or a top secret clearance, you're looking at 120 days, best case scenario. Now, they can give you an interim and you can start working. 3 or 4 days. You be in the office, you can start working, earning your paychecks. If something comes up, you'll have an opportunity to talk to the adjudicator, talk to somebody in an interview setting to clear up any misunderstandings. There's something that you need to keep in mind. You can interview and accept multiple job offers, but once it gets to the background portion of it, you cannot have 2 clearances simultaneously being investigated. So let's say you accept a job offer at DHS. It requires a top secret clearance. So they go ahead and they start doing the investigation. If you're applying at other agencies, let's say the DOD, and you applied for a job that requires a secret clearance, you accept the tentative job offer. They're not going to be able to conduct the secret clearance investigation while they're doing one for the top secret. 95% of the time, they cannot do it. Now, if you accept a job with the intelligence community, then they go through a slightly different process and potentially it could work out in your favor. Otherwise, you need to keep this in mind. So maybe a strategy for you is go ahead and accept the job that has a clearance requirement, but then only apply to jobs that are, let's say, low risk or do not require a security clearance. Here are some additional areas that could be included in your background check. We see physical fitness tests. This is usually for law enforcement officers. There's a medical exam, polygraph exam, child care assessment to see if you could be around kids. And then there's a firearm assessment to make sure you don't have any misdemeanor crimes of domestic violence. Keep in mind that these categories, they're going to be dependent on the job. If the job requires it, then you might have to go through it, right? Like if your job is a special agent, you're going to have a firearm, more likely than not. So then you're going to have the firearm assessment. If your job is to be around kids, obviously you would need that. Otherwise, if you're an analyst in an office somewhere, you're not going to need that. The way to make absolutely sure is to read the entire job announcement. The information should be in there to include drug test and physical and all of it. So make sure you're reading that. When it comes to DHS, we can see that certain job series, like the 1895, which is a border protection officer, they require a deeper background check than an 1801, which is an immigration officer. So the big question is, how long does it take to get hired at DHS? Well, they had some goals. They didn't meet their goals, but they had goals. For people that do not require a polygraph test, the target was 150 days or 4.5 months. And for people that needed a polygraph test, it was 190 days or 6 months. But in over half of the jobs hired, it took over 200 days or close to 7 months. So who's waiting 7 months? Are you going to wait 7 months? A lot of highly talented individuals, they're not sitting around for 7 months. I talk to people pretty much every day that are frustrated with the process. And it's usually right around the background check portion, especially if there's a clearance requirement. They're calling me up and they're like, how long is this going to take? It's been 3, 4, 5 weeks. I haven't heard anything from the agency. And that's a problem with a lot of agencies when it comes to communication. Some of these timelines, they're unreasonable. The federal government knows that, and they're trying to do something about it. For DHS, the shortest time to hire was the job series 1802, which is a security officer with the TSA, and the 0089, which is an emergency management specialist. The longest time to hire was the job series 1895 border protection agent, with the average time to hire over 800 days. And it wasn't even close. That's over 2 years to get hired. And what's crazier is that they actually hired 1,000 people for this position. Now, I understand that there's an academy requirement, but it's still excessive. Now, the CBP has some good reasons, apparently, for the hiring process taking multiple years. And one, they said that there were a lot of people that had military obligations. They were still in active duty, so they were waiting to be discharged. And another one is a lot of people were still in college. So they were finishing up their senior year, and then after that, they would join. So they kind of signed a statement saying that they had the intent to join the agency, but it added more time since they had other things in their life going on. DHS has been holding work groups to discuss on how they can increase and make the hiring process more efficient. And since 2021, they awarded a contract to a company that is supposed to be able to complete these background checks a lot faster. But if we look at the Custom and Border Patrol, their overall time to hire has only increased from 2018. So this doesn't make a lot of sense. Overall, GAO is making 4 recommendations to the DHS, including to improve data reporting and include hiring and vetting personnel in existing working groups. We're gonna have to wait the next couple of years to see if they actually make any type of improvement in these areas. Now, if you're interested in a federal government job, but you're more interested in the teleworking component because you don't want to drive to the office every single day, a lot of government jobs, you can telework. If you're interested in learning more about these type of positions, I want you to watch this video next. If you would like to see more videos like this, please click like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.